Hi, my name is Amelia Nagoski. I am co-author of the New York Times bestselling Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. And today we're going to talk about the ways that masking, as autistic people do, causes stress and how we can manage it. The most important thing about masking is that it comes from a place of stress. The initiation of a stress response cycle happens when autistic people have to be in society, when we have to interact with the neurotypicals. And we know that when we are ourselves, we get rejected. We are misunderstood. We are considered weird. So we learn to mask, to pretend to be the kind of person that the world expects of us. And that stress, so when we mask, that's because we're experiencing stress, a thing that tells our bodies it's not safe, that we're a herd species, and when you're in a herd, where's the safest place to be? The middle. And we have learned from experience that we're on the fringes. We're not in the middle of the herd. Whenever we are masking, that means that stress is happening. The solution to that is to complete the stress response cycle in a separate process than the one we use to deal with the thing that caused our stress. Because when we are masking, we are dealing with the thing that causes our stress. And this is not just an autistic thing. It's also a thing that every single person does in different social circumstances. They mask and they conform to what's expected. Autistic people just have to do it with like almost everyone all the time. So we're experiencing that stress a lot. And that means we need the opportunity to complete the stress response cycle. And I'll put the link to the video about how to do that in the description. Second, masking is a source of frustration because everyone around us seems to be just like easily coasting through social conversations and interactions, and everybody just kind of knows. It seems to be easy for everybody around us. And genuinely, legitimately, it is easier for everyone else than it is for us. But especially before we get any kind of diagnosis, we may go through 44 years of our life thinking, why is this so hard for me? And this relates back to chapter 2 and the monitor, the part of your brain, the discrepancy reducing increasing feedback loop that monitors your goal, your progress toward that goal, and how much effort you're making to create that progress. And the world around you says, this should be an easy goal to accomplish, no problem. And you're making like zero progress and putting in a lot of effort. So it's very, very frustrating. So the solution to this aspect of masking is to bring the goal a little bit closer to achievable and to expect this is going to be really hard and I'm going to do my best. But you know what? It's gonna be like the hardest thing I do on a day-to-day basis, and I'm only gonna get this far. I'm not gonna get that far. I'm only gonna get this far. So you reset the goal and you re-examine how much effort is gonna be needed and how much progress you're gonna make, and you retrain the discrepancy reducing increasing feedback loop, which is, we just call it in the book, the little monitor. You retrain the little monitor to expect less goal and to expect more effort, and that reduces the sense of frustration. It's still hard, it's still a very challenging goal, but now your brain expects it, so it's not going to feel so frustrating. Let's remember that in context, society is still going to expect you to be over here, and sometimes you are going to be over here and you're going to have to like make that effort to do that. But then your brain will know, oh my god, I have to go all the way over there? That's going to be ridiculously difficult. And it's going to have the expectation. You're no longer going to be expecting your level of ease to be the same as neurotypical people's level of ease. You're going to know this is really hard because I'm autistic and the autism doesn't do going over there. We don't do that. Hey, this is Editing Amelia here, jumping in to remind you that any kind of change can be stressful, especially for autistic people. So when you change the goal in order to reduce your stress, you also need to deal with the stress that will be initiated from the fact that you changed the goal, and also from the interaction with other people who are going to insist that your goal's not good enough. But I'm here to tell you your goal is good enough. In some ways, masking is a stressor you can control. You can plan ahead. You can learn what to say. And a lot of autistic people have already learned how to prepare a script for what you're going to talk about, making notes about things to say on a date or in a casual conversation. Like, other people just like make the small talk. And I know there's all these memes now about like how people hate small talk and it's so hard. But like, let me tell you, neurotypical people who think you hate small talk, you don't know the hatred of small talk that an autistic person feels. It is like, yeah. Anyway, to the extent that masking is a stressor you can control, you do all the planful problem solving, you write the scripts, you prepare what to say, and you do your best. To the extent that masking is a stressor that you can't control, that is, it really is required by the external world that we mask. And this is true for all people of all different kinds. And the less you conform to the socially constructed ideal, the more you have to mask, the harder you have to push. There's research that I'll link to that shows non-binary folks mask much more than cis folks, and autistic folks mask even more than non-binary folks. So we're all doing it at least a little. The amount that autistic people have to do it mean that it is more stressful for us, more exhausting for us. And to manage that, we need to use positive reappraisal. That is deciding that even though it's really, really hard, it's worth it. And maybe we'll decide it's not worth it. And like that can give us permission to work on doing less. Because maybe the punishment we face for not masking is not as bad as the exhaustion we feel when we do mask. Or maybe the rewards we get from masking are worth the exhaustion that we feel. Only you know. Positive reappraisal. Is it worth it? Thing number 4. Ableism as a manifestation of the patriarchy, of the white supremacist, cis heteronormative, exploitative, late capitalist patriarchy. The more different you are, the less you conform to the socially constructed ideal, the more difficult your path through the patriarchy will be. And the stronger the messages that you will get that you need to refine yourself, to polish yourself, to change yourself, to conform to that socially constructed ideal. Any way that you don't conform to that means that the game is going to be rigged against you. You're going to have more hurdles to jump, you're going to have more hills to climb than somebody who conforms more to that ideal. And this is not a thing that will change in any of our lifetimes. We can do little things to help create change. I'm making videos about autistic burnout so that people with autism can maybe find ways to feel better and to manage their stress in ways that will make them healthier and stronger and more capable of working toward large-scale systemic change. That would be, I hope that happens. It takes decades for these kinds of attitudes to change. And meanwhile, there's also backlash that's happening. And so we make steps forward, and then there's, knowing that the game is rigged. Hi, I'm here to tell you, you're not imagining it. The game is rigged. You are struggling because it's harder for you. Lots of people struggle for the same reason, that the system is not built for them for a variety of reasons. And number one thing we can do is be aware that that's true, that we're not crazy, and like de-gaslight ourselves. Hi, I'm here to de-gaslight you. And the number 2 thing we can do is to connect with other people whose differences are different from our differences. The Audre Lorde quote, I forget. Editing Amelia back to say this out loud. I am not free while any woman is unfree, even when her shackles are very different from my own. And then I had to redub all the rest of this because my sound got jacked up. Because all that stuff I've been saying so far about what you can do to prevent and recover from burnout, like, what you can do to complete the stress response cycle, how you can retrain your monitor and set different goals, and measure how much you're making progress and effort, and I'm redubbing this, and the game is rigged, and all of that is good and helpful. But it's like, if you've got a stab wound, it's like pulling out the knife. Like, if burnout's the wound, you have to heal the wound. That is step 1. And then there's all the healing that has to happen, and it takes time. But the thing is about living in the patriarchy is you're getting stabbed, metaphorically, every day, and different parts of your body over and over again. So, like, eventually, in order to heal the wound and progress forward, you need to look at where the wounds are coming from. Who's got the knife? How will you stop them from doing all that stabbing? But that can only be done together, which is why the cure for burnout can never just be self-care. It's always all of us caring for each other.